Hi, my name's Ben,
I'm Jeremy.
and we decided to do our statistics project testing the difference in reaction times between young people and older people to see if it slowed down with age. So our null hypothesis is that there's no difference in the reaction time between young and old people, and the alternative would be that young people are faster.
So we got our data by sampling students in the Skyline Orchestra because we thought the orchestra is a representation of all ages because freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors are all part of the Skyline Orchestra, so it's unbiased. And we decided to sample adults by going to teacher pods through all of the different uh, floors, yeah. And asking the teachers to partake in our statistical experiment. And this is unbiased because teachers are randomly assigned each pod, so we kept a simple random sample. And we gave our subjects a test run for the game that we played, because it's a game where you put your thumb on one part of the phone and then a button lights up and you need to move your thumb to the button and it takes the time that you got. So we gave them one test run before we collected data from them.
And it waits a random amount of time each time. That way you can't just like time it. And it's a little target, so you have to go and find it when it flashes on the screen. All right, and then we're going to flash on the screen the data that we collected and also some different graphical representations of that data to show that we found that it is relatively normal and there are few, if any, outliers. There might be one or two with the adults, but at least with our students, our sample size was greater than 30, so we were able to proceed with our test without fear. With the adults, though, it was just under 30, but again, since there were few, if any, outliers, we felt justified in using our statistical analysis test. We decided to use a unpaired two-sample t-test, and yes, our p-value that we attained was the alpha that we decided to use before we calculated anything was 0.05, because we figured that it didn't really matter much if we had error 1 versus error type 2, because it's it'd be a pretty benign mistake either way. At any rate, we found that our p-value was 0.25, so it would have been above either one anyway, any of the alpha values. 0.25 is definitely statistically insignificant. We found that we could not reject the null hypothesis, which basically means that based on our experiment, there's no significant difference in the reaction time between students and adults here at Skyline. Now that cannot necessarily be generalized to the regular public because Skyline isn't an accurate representation of the public as a whole, because we have specific age ranges here, we don't have many teachers above a certain age, and we certainly don't have students below a certain age. So that's one limitation of our experiment. Jimmy, do you want to?
Yeah, some things that we would have done differently if we did do the experiment, again, would be to like in an ideal situation, come back and give the same people the test like years later from now, because like in the real world, tests run on for longer amounts of time. So instead of doing an unpaired two-sample t-test, we would do a paired two-sample t-test to see that if age has truly affected the same subjects and if the reaction time is slowed or not.
Exactly. And if we found that it did, then we can run some other tests to see why that might be and the implications behind that. But based off of our experiment, we found that there is no significant difference in the reaction time between students and adults at Skyline.
Thanks.